Well, hey friends, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a big old declutter of my entire house. You guys know about every 6 months or so, I like to do a big sweep of my home just to go through everything and to determine if there are any items that are no longer providing value to me or that I'm no longer using. So the plan for the day is we're basically just going to go through my entire house, room by room, and in every single room, I'm going to try to find at least one thing to declutter. Although if I don't find something in every single room, that's totally fine too. Some of my spaces definitely need a bit more attention than others. All right, but now I'm excited to get started. Decluttering is definitely one of those things that's very therapeutic for me. So let's go ahead and start in the kitchen. All right, so for the kitchen, I basically just want to start off by opening up all of our drawers and cabinets and figuring out if there's anything that we no longer use. The kitchen is one of those very high traffic areas. It gets a lot of use, and it's also one of those spaces that's kind of first and foremost function is it's designed to be practical. So I think in the kitchen, more than almost in any other space in my home, I really try to focus on, okay, when was the last time I used this item? If I can't remember, I usually don't keep it. It's important to me that I'm using the real estate that I have in here well, and that I'm not just holding on to fantasy items that I'll like dream about using, but never practically get out. So that's a bit of my philosophy for decluttering in the kitchen. But now let's go ahead and start opening up these cabinets, opening up the drawers. So I've literally just gone through the first 3 cabinets so far and I've already found so much. I'd say one of the biggest things that I found is we have a lot of food storage containers. We actually replaced several of our food storage containers, actually the ones from this set. Last year we got, or was it? I think it was over Christmas. We got a new set, and then I think Christopher, I might have even set to declutter these, but I think Christopher stole them and put them back in our cabinet. But they're like, there's literally like moldy food stuck in these that like you can't get out. I don't feel good about donating that, and I don't want to store our food with these either. So I think, Christopher, if you're watching and you snuck these out of my declutter pile before, we're definitely decluttering these this time. They're just not safe for food storage anymore. So it's like the first big category of things that I've been putting aside here. There are a lot of like mismatched food storage containers. Now that we have a nice cohesive set, I just want to stick to that. And realistically, like that's what we're actually using. So we don't need to have all of those extra pieces that are just taking up space and just causing a bit of a mess up in that cabinet. But then over here, the other big category of things that I've been putting aside that I want to go through right now is when we first moved into our house, there are a lot of electronics that came with our house, but the company that built our home just like left all of the boxes and instruction manuals in this cabinet up here. So I want to go through and figure out, okay, what of this do we actually need to keep and what can I recycle, break down, and get rid of? And then obviously for the stuff that we keep, the kitchen just doesn't make sense as the place to put spare parts and things like that. So I want to move those out to the garage or somewhere else that just logically makes more sense than the kitchen. So we've got the boxes here for our thermostat, our doorbell, this Echo Dot, and a few other pieces. So I just want to go through all of that. Obviously we'll keep anything essential, but I just want to get rid of the rest. Okay, so we were just able to condense that all down a lot. Here's what we're down to. With the rest of this stuff, some of it we might not actually need, but I do need to check with Christopher on all of it. So I'm going to save this so he can look at it later, but we got rid of so many boxes. These things are like low-key very hard to break down, but I'm feeling good, and now we've got a nice clear medicine cabinet because that's where we keep all of our medicines and supplements and things like that. So now we're good to continue with the rest of the kitchen. So something else that I'm seeing in here a lot is that we have way too much empty packaging that's just no longer being used. It's taking up space in there and honestly just making everything look and feel messy. And so I think I want to have a conversation with Christopher and just have both of us really try to get on board with making sure that if we open up a package, we get something, we're making sure that we're removing it from the package and then recycling or properly disposing of the packaging. And honestly, this is something that I just know we're both guilty of, so it's time to make a change. And then the other thing of note that I'm going to be decluttering is this little mini waffle maker. I love waffles and I love small things, so I loved the idea of this mini waffle maker when my mother-in-law gave it to me for Christmas. I think it was a couple of years ago. It was a really fun idea, a great concept, but honestly, we've tried making waffles with this a handful of times and it just really isn't that good. It takes forever to make each waffle and you can never really get them to that like perfectly crispy texture that really does just taste so good. And so because of that, I feel like we never actually use it. And I would really just rather, if I'm going to own a waffle maker, invest in something that's quality, that makes good waffles in like a reasonable amount of time every time. So literally all of this is just from the kitchen. We are not off to a bad start here. I did want to share a funny story about this mug specifically though. So obviously it's still got the original packaging on it, and that's because I actually have an identical mug to this that I've been using as my travel mug for several months now, and I lost it. And not just like the, oh, I lost it, let me go out and buy a replacement, but it was literally missing for like a month, and I'd search high and low in our house, everywhere, our cars, all the things. So I finally gave up. I was like, I must have left it somewhere. Somebody took it, whatever, it's fine. So I went out and bought a replacement. And like 3 days after I bought this, I literally found my mug and I left it in the glove compartment of my car. Who leaves their travel mug in the glove compartment? Anyways, I was super happy I found it. Unfortunately, I haven't actually used this yet. I think it actually should still be within the return deadline, so I'm probably just going to try returning this. And it's just such a random thing, but I thought it was a bit funny. I mean, how often does that happen where we lose something, we go out and finally get the replacement after waiting for a significant period of time, and then we find the original item we lost? Has that ever happened to you? If it has, let me know in the comments and let me know what it was that you lost. I just think it's funny. Now it's time to move on to the living room, and the two main areas that I want to focus on in here are number one, the TV stand behind me. That's an area that tends to accumulate things that we'll try to put away when we have guests coming over, and it's like, oh quick, we have people coming over, we'll put stuff in there. Then it doesn't necessarily get put where it belongs afterwards. Then the other spot that I want to go through is our couch. We have some storage in the L-shaped sectional that we mostly use to house games and things like that, so I want to go through that too. But let's start over here with this guy. So as suspected, that area was mostly things that just need to be rehomed. So I'm going to take a second and do that now, take advantage of the opportunity. But the one thing that I might declutter is this video of the New England Patriots, I think 53rd Super Bowl. It's a video of when they won Super Bowl 53. But obviously, as you can tell, it's still in the plastic packaging, and I think we've had this for a few years. It is Christopher's though, so I'm not going to declutter it for him, but I do want to ask him about it because if we haven't watched it yet, we've had it for a few years, I don't think we're going to watch it. Plus, I think this is the Super Bowl that they won against the LA Rams, and that low-key was a bit of a boring Super Bowl to watch. Like, if it was the Falcons one, sure, keep it. That would be fun to watch again, but I mean, even as a Patriots fan, I'm not sure if I want to rewatch this. But obviously we'll ask him. I really do try to be careful that I'm not decluttering for Christopher, and that when he's letting go of something, that it's a decision that he can make kind of independently on his own. But still, personally, I don't really think that we need this. So I just found a candle lid to a candle that we definitely no longer own, so we'll be getting rid of that. But then in far more exciting news, this little coffee table right here that is falling apart, we're going to be decluttering very soon. because we got a replacement. I'll like pull it over here so you can see, but there's literally wood peeling all along this thing. It's pretty gross, and it's never really fit the vibe of our space. It's literally falling apart, and so it's something that we've been wanting to replace for a long time. And I always struggled with finding like the perfect replacement because I know that we're not going to have our couch and the chair here for that much longer, but at the same time, it might still be another year or two. So I wanted to find basically a coffee table that was going to be functional for what we have now, but then hopefully could also grow with us. And I was having a really hard time figuring out what could be that good in between, and I think I finally found it. So we're going to keep this coffee table until I get the replacement, but I think it comes next Wednesday, and I am so incredibly excited for it. If it's anything like what I think it will be, it's literally going to be a night and day difference. So holding on to this guy for a few more days, but I cannot wait to bid it farewell. Not too much in here though, so now it's on to the bedroom and our bathroom. Oh, actually, one other thing I almost forgot. This little plant has died on me multiple times, but there's always been like this small remnant of it that survived, but honestly, I don't love the plant, I don't love the planter, and it just looks really dumb. So I think I'm going to move on from this guy. It's had a good run, but I don't think it fits. There is something inside of me that feels a little bit guilty doing that, but at the end of the day, it's just a plant, so it's fine. Okay, so in my bedside table, I actually found a few things. First off, I have 2 containers of moisturizer that literally have like 1 application left in them. And I have a tendency of doing this where I'll get down to almost the bottom of a product and just not go to the extra effort of getting out that last little bit. And then, as has obviously happened twice now, I'll basically just leave them somewhere, forget about them, and try not to think about it. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to throw these out with perfectly good product left in them, is I'm going to put them in a prominent place in our bathroom and basically just do a bit of a use it up challenge with them. So the next couple of times I shower, right after I shower, which is normally when I moisturize, I'll just see them and be reminded to actually use them up. And then once I get them empty, we can get rid of them at that point. But I do want to be very intentional about using these up because I know I've had this one for at least a couple of years. And then this one, I think I might have gotten this one over the winter, but I just want to make sure I'm using everything up. Then I also have a few pairs of earrings that I'm going to be letting go of. These really are just worn out at this point. These ones in particular, I'm a bit sad to be letting go of, but if you look closely, I don't know if you can see right there, well, you can at least see the green color. Obviously, these weren't made out of the best quality metal, and so I'm guessing that this got wet at some point, maybe it rained or whatever, but it's now bled onto the little fabric part, so they just look a little silly. So we'll be letting go of those, but then I found a few hair accessories that I'm going to return to the bathroom, and then a few bits of trash too. Okay, then in the bathroom, we just recently went through this area, so I don't expect to find too much, but it doesn't hurt to look. So let's take a moment and just look through the cabinets. Okay, so I actually found a handful of things in here. First off is this conditioner that I remember definitely made my hair pretty greasy. I have very fine hair. This just didn't quite work for it, so going to be decluttering that. I also have this volumizing foam that I think was a gift, but it makes my hair a little bit crunchy, so I don't really enjoy using it. So I'm going to declutter that. I have an empty container here. This specific type of hairband just doesn't work in my hair, so I'm going to let go of that. Okay, so my battery just died, so I had to change that out. But essentially for this one, I found a product that I prefer to it. So because of that, I just don't see myself using this one or needing it. So I'll probably try passing this one on to a friend because it's got most of it left on. Okay, but now let's continue back over to the closet. So I did find a couple of pieces of clothing in here that are either worn out or that just don't work for whatever reason. First off is this beautiful, it's very pretty shirt from Girlfriend Collective. So honestly, I love this top. The color is great, it's really flattering. It's actually not super dissimilar to what I'm wearing now. However, it doesn't have padding, and personally, I am not on board team like show the nipple. I don't know, I just can't get behind it. I like some padding in what I'm wearing, and so because of that, I just never find myself reaching for it. It's a cute top, but it's not the type of thing that you can wear with a bra, and it just doesn't come with padding, so I just never find myself reaching for it. So hopefully I can pass it on to someone who will appreciate it, but it's just not for me. The same thing goes for this pair of shorts. They're really nice, but just not for me. I think they're the kind of thing that you're supposed to wear with a nice blouse or something like that. But honestly, every time I've gone to create an outfit using these shorts, even though they fit really well, something about it just never feels right. And so honestly, I've had these for close to a year now, and I don't think I've worn them out once. I try them on frequently, but never end up putting them on. So to me, that just says that they might be a nice pair of shorts, but they just aren't for me. And then just two other things here. First is a bikini that I have just stretched out way too much. I think I've had it for 5 or 6 years, so I've definitely gotten my money's worth and then some out of it, but it's just irrecoverable at this point. I've worn it out. And then the second thing is this sports bra. And I'm pretty small chested, and this is a very compressive sports bra. I think it has a lot more like support than I actually need, and I find it a bit uncomfortable to wear, you know, versus some of my other sports bras. And so because of that, I never reach for this one. So I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I've only worn it a handful of times, and it's a nice one. It's just maybe like more support than I need. So that's our little clothing declutter, and at this point we've gone through a lot of the house, so I'm feeling really good about that. Next up, I want to check out my office. Okay, wait, actually, before we leave this room, I just noticed I think Christopher has left some of the remnants of when he's decluttered in the past on the floor in here. I know when I decluttered with him, we actually went through and dropped off all of those donations at the thrift store, but I think there's some extra things here from maybe when he's decluttered in the past. So I'm going to go through that quickly and add it to our decluttering pile so I can make sure that it actually makes its way to the thrift store. Oh my goodness, that thunder's so loud. It just got like really dark and rainy in here all of a sudden. Okay, but for my office, this is another area that I like to keep pretty minimal. Apart from the bookshelf and my, you know, desk and all of that, there isn't too much in here. But I did find a few books that I'm wanting to move on from. And these are all books that I've read recently that I don't necessarily see myself ever rereading. I have people ask me a lot, what do I do with all of the books that I've read? And honestly, unless I plan on rereading something, I don't like to hold on to it. I'd far rather pass it on to a friend or somebody else who can read and get the same beautiful experience that I did from reading the book. So especially with these two, Beneath a Scarlet Sky and A Thousand Splendid Suns, I'd love to just pass them on to somebody else who can get value from them. Because honestly, they were great reads, but I don't necessarily see myself rereading them, so they'd basically just be taking up space in my bookshelves, and I'd rather just have somebody else enjoy them. Okay, and then I've come into our hallway, and this is really the last big area that I'm wanting to go through and just to see if there's anything that we can declutter in. The things in here that I want to be paying some special attention to are the cabinets over here, and then our entryway closet. So it was mostly small stuff that I found in here, but I did find a gift card that I'd totally forgotten that I had, so I'm definitely going to use this. It's a nice little perk of going through the decluttering process. So one thing that I knew that I wanted to do in this space was to go through some of our winter essentials. Honestly, I know that I probably have too many scarves considering the fact that we live in North Carolina. It doesn't get that cold around here, so I'm going to be decluttering at least one. But then also for this space, we've literally just been using this shoebox, which is kind of like bent and distorted at this point. It just wasn't working as a great storage solution. So the other day I went to Target, I bought this nice little basket. So what I want to do is for all the things that I'm deciding, okay, yes, we do want to keep this, whether it's winter essentials or just things that we need to be able to grab on the go that are in the closet, I want to put them in here so it will just be an easy way to keep them organized. So I'll put things like gloves gloves in here, Christopher's shoe shine kit, things like that. And I think that this will just be a lot more practical and easy to grab too, since it has handles, than this little guy. Okay, I can already tell that this is going to work so much better. Everything really does just fit in here perfectly. Of course, we did let go of a few things though, and first off is this scarf. Honestly, I just love how fluffy and warm this scarf is, and if we lived in a colder climate, I would definitely keep it. But I have, I think, 3 different just like cozy winter scarves, and that's a lot considering that in North Carolina, or at least where we live, it only goes below freezing like 2 or 3 days a year. Sure, I do sometimes go up to visit Canada in the winter, but even still, when I go up there, I'm not bringing more than 1, max 2 scarves with me. There just isn't room in my suitcase. So I am going to let this one go because it just isn't practical to keep. Same thing goes for this hat. I've had it for several years and I've actually worn it a decent amount, but I just have a couple of others that in recent years I found myself reaching for more, so I just don't think I need this one. Then 2 random things I found are this 1 single glove and a pair of shoelaces. Then probably the biggest thing for this area is this bag. This is a purse that I loved and used for several years, but it really just doesn't fit my lifestyle at this point. It was great when I used to go into an office every day and it could hold all of my essentials, but ever since I started working from home, I just never find myself reaching for it. All right, but that's pretty much it for our entryway closet. I'm just going to go ahead and put this back and then straighten up our shoes. I don't think we have any to declutter, but I'll straighten them up, give them a quick look over, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, well this is so funny. It's literally not even 6 p.m. right now, but it's just started pouring rain, so it feels like it's 10 p.m. in here because it's so dark. So I just turned on all of the lights in here, but quickly I want to walk you through everything that we decluttered because there's a lot of it. Okay, so here's our big old decluttering pile, and you've got the sound of the rain as our ambiance track. We've got our books from the office, some bathroom supplies, lots and lots of things from the kitchen, especially lots of containers. Glad we're finally getting rid of those. So I didn't mention this earlier, but there's this bowl that has a lot of scratches at the bottom of it, and it's designed for food storage, but I don't think with the scratches it's food safe. So we're going to be letting go of that because I don't want to chance it. Of course, you've got our travel mug that I'm going to try returning. Then we've got all the clothing here. Actually, this is Christopher's like brand new water bottle. I want to make sure we don't accidentally get rid of that. But clothing here, stuff from the office, there's quite a lot here. All right, well, I don't know about you, but I would definitely call that a successful decluttering session. And it really does feel just so good being able to go through my home and make sure that everything that I have, everything that I'm keeping is intentional. They're things that I love, they're things that I use, and they're things that bring value and joy to my life. Okay, but now I have a lot of things to sort through here. Need to figure out what we're going to be donating versus recycling versus selling and all of that. So I'm going to get to that now, but I really hope that this video just gives you some inspiration, maybe some motivation to go through and to declutter your own home. And of course, if you are planning to declutter and you're looking for a step-by-step resource that's going to help walk you through the decluttering process, definitely be sure to check out my ebook, The Simple Guide to Decluttering Your Home. It walks you through the entire decluttering process and includes some really helpful checklists that can just give you some ideas for things to look out for in each space. So if you want to check that out, I will leave that link for you in the description box below. I think that's everything for this video though, so until next time friends, I hope that you have an amazing day. See you in the next one.